Hello and welcome to a video. Today we're going to take a look at the best core breakers for the upcoming season. Those Pokemon are going to be crucial to break teams apart, and if you're wondering how did I know that those are going to be good core breakers, I already made 2 videos about the best cores in the Go Battle League for the next season, and also I already made a video about some top teams, and those Pokemon here are going to be quite good against most of the cores as well as most of the teams that we had here. So those Pokemon are also, I think, all of them not buffed or like old Pokemon generally speaking, and so they're going to be very interesting. I think they got a little bit of buff, some of them, but yeah, very old Pokemon that are already very decent before, so hopefully you have them already. Otherwise, maybe try to build them. And also, if you enjoyed this type of video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Moving on to the first Pokemon now. It's going to be the Jumpluff. Jumpluff is going to be one of the best Pokemon to build for the next season. Why is this the case? Very easily explained here. Pangoro is going to be one of the best Pokemon coming up, but also Gastrodon is going to take over the meta, and Gastrodon has nothing to do against the Jumpluff, and Jumpluff is the best Pokemon to break the Pangoro Gastrodon core, which I talked about in several videos before as well, while also doing so much against the rest of the meta. I would be very surprised if we don't see a win of Jumpluff in regionals as well. So definitely Jumpluff is a Pokemon that you kind of want to have for the upcoming season, just to break apart what is kind of buffed, and that is going to be great. This Pokemon has some great teammates here as well, like the Clodsire, where Clodsire is going to be weak to ground and water type moves, which the Jumpluff is going to be able to double resist at least the ground type move. Actually, is it a triple resist? I think it's even a triple resist, which is kind of mad. So yeah, definitely a great core together there as well. Other Pokemon that you can run as well with it is like Ferrothorn or the Azumarill. But yeah, this Pokemon for sure would really recommend you to build this one. Like honestly, I think you will not regret it. Next Pokemon, you most likely have it already. The Shadow variant is a little bit lower ranked than the normal variant, but the Alolan Sandslash is for sure one of the best core breakers for the next season. Why is that the case? Because we're going to have Mandibuzz as one of the best Pokemon, we have Clodsire as one of the best Pokemon, which is the main reason why Powdersnow is not now the best fastball for this thing. But also, we're going to have an increase of Pokemon like Clefable, which are going to be very, very strong for the next season. And also, we're going to have a decrease of counter users, which is going to help you out quite a bit. And so, Alolan Sandslash is going to be for sure a Pokemon that you want to have for the next season. Just the typing itself is going to make this Pokemon insanely strong. And so, for sure, try to build one. It is going to be worth it for you. The next Pokemon is kind of similar here. We're going to have Aurorus. Aurorus is going to be also an Ice-type Pokemon, which benefits from kind of the similar things that we already said before. Also climbed up quite a bit in the ranking, but of course, yeah, we're going to have no Steel Wing users more anymore here, which is going to be great. But also, we don't have any counter users, and so both of the double weaknesses of this Pokemon are kind of gone with that. And you're going to have a lot of very neutral targets here as well, or like super effective targets like the Clodsire, the Mandibuzz, the Clefable. You're going to have a lot of neutral play against a lot of Pokemon. And also beats the Jumpluff quite hard, which we had already before. So this thing for sure, as you can see as well, with 24 wins and 12 losses, this thing is going to be insanely strong. Some Pokemon to pair it with, especially Azumarill, make a lot of sense, as you're going to have also, of course, without the counter resistance in it. But yeah, there are a lot of good Pokemon that you can run with this Pokemon here for sure. But yeah, Aurorus for sure going to be a Pokemon that you kind of want to have for the next season. Serperior is going to be also one Pokemon that climbed up a little bit in the rankings for good reason as well here, because Serperior has access to Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to be super valuable for the next season. While counter users got nerfed, a lot of other Pokemon are going to be quite weak to it, especially also like those Pokemon like Germnaa. But the cool thing about this thing is just that you have that coverage while still being bulky, while still having Wind Whip, Frenzy Plant, and you're going to be able to destroy Ferrothorn, you're going to be able to destroy Gastrodon, and those Pokemon are going to be everywhere. And so Serperior, I would be very much surprised if we don't see this everywhere. Like this Pokemon going to be very strong for the upcoming season. For sure something you want to build, especially just because of the coverage, but also because Pokemon like Skarmory are going to be completely gone now. And so it's a little bit easier to run Grass-type Pokemon. And it's going to be something you're going to see throughout the video as well here. There are going to be quite a lot of Grass-type Pokemon, which are going to be great for the current meta, because if you take a look at the top meta, you have Gastrodon, Ferrothorn, Carbink, all weak to Grass, and that is going to be like the core meta anyway. So Grass-type Pokemon going to be very strong. Gallade is also going to be very strong, and also because it is partly a grass type, I guess, going to have access to Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to be super important for this Pokemon. And as you're going to see here, it's going to be, I think something that people are going to underestimate for a little bit. Do I think it's going to be the best Pokemon ever? For sure not, but I think it's going to be a great Pokemon to run in the current season just because of the coverage this Pokemon has. Psycho Cut going to allow you to get to the Leaf Blade insanely fast, as well as Close Combat going to hit quite a lot of Pokemon in the current meta, but having access to Grass type coverage is going to be insanely important again, but also you kind of don't want to be like the Cresselia right now. I think Cresselia going to have a little bit of a troublesome time because of its typing. Here Gallade having access to Close Combat, allowing it to hit those Dark types a little bit harder, normal types a little bit harder, is going to be very, very important for it as well. So Gallade, especially Shadow variant, is going to be very, very good. Again, here are some Pokemon that you can pair it with. I would definitely recommend you to try it out with Bastion and lead. Bastion lead, saves up Gallade, and then like a Grass type in the back is always a great team, kind of toxic team, but it is what it is. And Diggersby going to be next. This Pokemon came up a lot of times basically as a core breaker for the top course that I did. Like nearly everyone, Diggersby was a core breaker for it, and you can see here already why. This Pokemon, while it seems to be like not really that, I don't know, like dominating in certain matchups, you're going to have like very neutral matchups there as well because you have a lot of normal type coverage and Hyper Beam and Quick Attack. You only really have like the ground type coverage for like Scorching Sands, which actually can do super effective damage. You're kind of limited in terms of that, but what you're not limited in is going to be the bulk that you have. This Pokemon is insanely bulky, has insanely hard hitting moves as well, and this is going to be quite deadly for the upcoming season. You're going to be able to beat a lot of the core meta, and the typing itself is going to be great because if, for example, the opponent want to try out something like the new Dusknoir, this Pokemon is going to completely get walled by Diggersby, which is quite ridiculous. And as we are running Quick Attack, Hyper Beam now, even Mandibuzz does not even have the best play against it. And so Diggersby for sure something worth picking up for the next season. Abomasnow here as well is going to be a great one. We want to see here the Shadow variant being a little bit higher ranked than the normal variant. Normal variant is like a few ranks below, I think like 20 ranks below, but also the normal variant apparently likes to run the Icy Wind on it. I feel like normal variant without Icy Wind but with Weather Ball Ice is going to be the ideal way of going forward, to be fair. Because I feel like the bulk is kind of important. What you really want to do is, you want to take advantage of the great coverage that you have with this Pokemon. Energy Ball is going to be able to one-shot Ferrothorn and Gastro no matter if you're Shadow or not, and then you can take some Aerial Aces as a non-Shadow from the Mandibuzz as well, and I think it is going to be a little bit better as a non-Shadow variant, to be fair, but both of them are going to be totally fine. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, really depends on what your preferences are, but I still think this Pokemon is going to be insanely important because, as said before, I expect to be having Gastrodon basically everywhere, and Gastrodon is one of the Pokemon that you really want to counter. Against Ferrothorn, you're going to be better off as well as the non-Shadow variant, but again, I could even see some Razor Leaf is going to have some play, even though it got nerfed, just because of Gastrodon and Ferrothorn most likely being everywhere. Speaking of, again, Grass-type Pokemon here, we're going to have Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is going to be a great Pokemon for the upcoming meta, coming up as well a lot of times as a core breaker for a lot of the teams or cores that I built. Why this Pokemon is kind of low ranked, but the typing itself is so great for the current meta, allowing you to beat something like Gastrodon and Ferrothorn quite easily, but also having coverage for Pokemon like Carbink, but also having coverage even for Pokemon like the Mandibuzz. Being a grass type that can actually beat flying type Pokemon is going to be very handy, but not only this, also Clefable is gonna get completely hard-rolled by you, and so the Ferrothorn is a very likely one of the Pokemon that you really would like to have. Even though it's kind of low ranked, I think it's going to be great against the current meta. Maybe not so good against the Pokemon that are not in the meta, but the meta right now really struggles against the Ferrothorn, so I would recommend you to try to build one of them. Moving on now to the, I think, second to last one for today. We're going to have Toxapex, we're going to have Poison Jab, Brine, and Sludge Wave. This Pokemon is going to be very, very solid as well, again, in the upcoming season. Being able to, of course, beat that, those Fairy-type Pokemon, like the Clefable, getting completely walled from this, but also the Fighting-type Pokemon cannot fight back. Pangoro has no way of basically fighting through the Toxapex, as well as Machamp has to rely on the Stone-Lash damage, and so this Pokemon is going to be great, especially as you can also kind of handle the Feraligatr quite easily with it. I think this Pokemon is going to have a lot of play for the upcoming season. Also, got buffed quite a bit in terms of the ranking again this season as well, which is quite an interesting side because it didn't get a direct buff, but I think this Pokemon is going to be quite good. The final one for today is going to be Guzzlord. This thing was already kind of a core breaker for the last season, still going to be very interesting to use. And as you can see again, wins-loss ratio doesn't really look too great, but it was quite a decent core breaker for a lot of my teams. Why is that the case? Because Feraligatr is so strong and Manibus is so strong. And both of them are definitely not enjoying the matchup against Guzzlord. Now you're going to run a different moveset as well with Dragon Tail, Brutal Swing as well as Such Bomb. Before it was Dragon Claw as well as the Crunch on it. So it's going to be interesting where the place is going to be for Guzzlord. This is definitely the one on the list where I'm like the kind of iffiest about it. It's actually going to be the craziest one, but I think it is going to be great. It was quite decent in all the matchups that I kind of simulated before as well, so I think Guzzlord still has a lot of play this season, even though it dropped a bit from the ranking just as an anti-meta Pokemon. But yeah, this is going to be my list here for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.